This is the Chatter Squadron Weekly News Roundup, the best source for Star Wars news in the galaxy. Chewie, get the holonet up and running again. We don't want to miss the show.
Yeah. You know what I'm still high on?
Oh, God.
Woody Harrelson's performance in Solo, which I watched over a week ago.
I saw that in a little vial with a needle.
In a spoon.
His performance.
Yeah, I got it bottled up. Little. It's very, very solid.
His performance was very solid.
It was really solid. So I have to put it into a spoon, melt it down, and inject it in order to really appreciate it. But I could also just watch the movie.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chatter Squadron, your weekly dose of Star Wars fun and positivity. My name is Tyler Bucks.
And I'm Mike Calhoun, and you are watching the Weekly News Roundup, where we round up the news, which is something you constantly say, which is so redundant. But anyway, you can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. You can also watch us on Facebook and YouTube, so do so. And if you give us a rating and a review of 5 stars, or anything, really, if you give us a 1-star review, you still have a slight chance of ending up on the tiny chair of Tiny Victories.
That now houses a holocron.
I was going to say, right now it's inhabited by a holocron, but that holocron could be you. We could turn you into a holocron.
That's what happens when you give us a 5-star rating, or any rating, like Mike said, review on iTunes, Facebook, anything. We turn you into a little box that keeps all of your essence, basically, and then we can call on it at any time at our leisure.
What are we talking about today in the news?
We're talking about one of my least favorite things, and that rival squadron that's on our tail.
How do they even get allowed to get the name Squadron? We have what is it? Eminent domain over the term Squadron.
Of course, we're talking about Alphabet Squadron. Still not too high on the name.
But what are we talking about, Alphabet Squadron? Apparently some new details have been released.
Yeah, they released some people that don't look as cool as us, but members of the Alphabet Squadron that we will be able to tell you what their names are. And of course, when that book will come out. Alphabet Squadron is a book, and it looks like there's some good illustrations that are going to be tagged along with it.
Yeah, I mean, the profiles of all the members of the squadron look pretty cool.
Yeah, they could have just called it like Alphabet Group or something.
Alphabet Group. Kind of like Alphabet Soup. Second story we've got for you guys is first-hand account of Smuggler's Run and build your own lightsaber, and as well the build your own droid. Some people are actually there, of course. We are coming to the conclusion of May, which is the conclusion of the trial period, the timed periods that you can spend in Galaxy's Edge. And in June, everything will be open for the public.
Vanity Fair. Of course, we can't have a news episode where we don't talk about all of the pictures they released. And, of course, the little backstage, what would that be called? Featurette, I guess you would say, of showing how the production is being done for Tross. And then, of course, the photographer there taking all the beautiful pictures. And then we got to see them in the Vanity Fair spread. So we're going to talk about that and some of the details that were released in the article that was associated with those pictures.
The article overall was pretty well written. It was written by, it's Len. I got to find it. But anyway, I didn't put them in the headline. But anyway,
it was very well written. And like we said, we pieced together.
Lev Grossman. Lev Grossman. He wrote a write-up like how the entire saga has led to this tipping point. And it was pretty well done. So I suggest anyone to go to vanityfair.com and check that out.
And then there's like weird rumblings of news going on that we might be able to touch on as the episode progresses. We'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah, we'll have to come back to those details later. We're not really sure on what's going on there.
And then, of course, this week
in Star Wars history,
brought to you by the Battlefront. We'll talk to you about this massive week for Star Wars history because a little old movie called Star Wars came out this week in history. But let's jump into our arch nemesis, Alphabet Squadron.
Arch nemesis. They have names now. We have names, Mike and Tyler.
Yeah,
but Their names are as follows.
And you guys have known our names for much longer.
Sure. And he doesn't want you to know their names. He's stopping me at every point.
Yeah.
Well, the first one. Oh, what's that?
Sorry. I know. I'm just saying. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll start with the first one, of course. Credit. Yeah, I got to give credit where credit's due. The leader. Not really. I have no idea who corresponds to who. But there are Quell, Keros, Will, Nath, and Chas.
Yeah.
Very Star Warsy names in that they are regular names, just chopped in half, kind of.
Right.
Nath is Nath, which could easily just be
Nathan.
Will is a name.
Chas is, Chaz is
Sure,
a name.
sure, yeah. Quill. No, that's not a real name. That's a space name.
Quill.
It's also a thing.
So Quell and Keros, those are two good ones.
Yeah, sure. But anyway, it's kind of cool. They say that there's an actual synopsis that I gathered from Amazon. Could I read that for you?
Sure.
Because it's interesting. There's a Shadow Wing is like their counterpart, so I want to go over that. Here's the little synopsis. On the verge of victory in a brutal war, 5 New Republic pilots transform from hunted to hunters in this epic Star Wars adventure. Set after the Return of the Jedi, Alphabet Squadron follows a unique team, each flying a different class of starfighter as they struggle to end the war once and for all.
So if you're not super associated with what this idea is and why it's called Alphabet Squadron is because there's X-Wing, Y-Wing, B-Wing, A-Wing, and I think a U-Wing in there.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know before, those are letters of the alphabet. And
you don't say.
Yeah, I do say. And thus the Alphabet Squadron name. And so it's kind of like this ragtag group of people coming together. And
I wonder if it is like a ragtag group, or if it's like they're deliberate. Yeah, they're the best of the best, but they happen to be like the best of their class or something, or they just prefer a certain type of ship. I don't know.
Who knows? I mean,
we won't know until we read it on June 11th.
Exactly. But I do like that it's this, post Return of the Jedi story. We're getting a lot of those soon, but this one seems like it's pretty close to the fall of the Empire and kind of seeing this group be able to track down the remaining remnants of the Empire in order to purge the galaxy of that Imperial scum.
I mentioned Shadow Wing earlier, and that is not only their counterpart, but there's a Shadow Wing book it's in TIE Fighter, in Marvel's TIE Fighter miniseries, which is the comics, that follows Shadow Wing as they try to scheme and thwart the New Republic. That's apparently what this squadron will be fighting primarily.
See, Shadow Wing, that's a much better name.
You think? Oh, okay. Well,
no squadron in there at all.
You're a much bigger fan of Shadow Wing.
Oh yeah, I'm Shadow Wing all the way. I'm also, one time I went to my friend's school and I was shadowing him.
No. No, not cool. Let's move on to our next story, where apparently there was a power outage reported at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Or not just Galaxy's Edge, Disney Parks in Anaheim.
Yeah, that sucks because we've been reporting on Galaxy's Edge and what it's like to get in there and having to have a schedule and, you're here for this long and you do these things and that type of stuff. And knowing Disney and knowing people who have lives, they can't just, come back next week and we'll fit you back in. So it must suck that people were there. And
well, there is good news.
Yeah.
And the good news is that the power outage, while it was reported as a power outage, it only lasted a few seconds.
Okay.
But then they did have to shut down a lot of the outdoor attractions because of rain and lightning. But that's pretty standard.
Yeah.
But it is a shame that they had a power surge of some sort. But they were trying to say it's not that big of a deal, no safety hazard. But they did have to close a lot of the outdoor stuff.
But other than that, people are actually stepping into Galaxy's Edge. People are actually doing stuff, making lightsabers, flying on the Falcon, eating Star Wars things. and eating food too.
Making little droid buddies that follow you around. And I saw a friggin' hilarious video today of one of the BB units rolling around, and the person that was controlling it wasn't the person holding the camera, but they were just like, "What are you trying to get it to do?" And then they hit a wall, and it cracked open like an egg. Not like it broke, but it just like, doink. And then just its guts were there, and its head fell. It was hilarious.
Is that what they were trying to get it to do?
I don't think so. I don't think it was meant to be like doing that. But
come on, bud, run into the wall. Into the wall. Oh, the best trick.
It was like Humpty Dumpty. The best trick.
Finally, I got it. But no, so people have been flying the Falcon. People, other than, I forget the name of the one guy who said, "I'm the only person who's flown the Falcon."
I am the only one.
Not anymore. He has been dethroned, much like the Tiny King/Queen. But yeah, people who have been able to go, we've heard such great things about the park. Many of people are excited to make their personal lightsabers.
I think that's my new favorite thing, actually. I think that's what I'm looking forward to most.
And just watching online, too, of what people put together.
Yeah.
The lightsabers that they built. And it's very similar to something they put out. We'll get to the lightsabers in a second, so I'll bring that up there. But one person who rode the Millennium Falcon ride online had this to say. The cabin has 6 positions, 2 pilots, 2 gunners, and 2 engineers, which we've known. You have to do different things in the cockpit based on your role. As a pilot, one of us controlled side to side movement, and I controlled up to down and light speed. So that's something that we haven't heard before, which kind of, you're not just a co-pilot, you guys have to work together.
Sure.
That would be disorienting.
I think it would be. Like, if I knew I was only going up and down, and then suddenly my co-pilot took us to the left, and I was like, I'm trying to dodge this thing by going under it, and they're just like, and I was like, no, well, now I just dove right into a giant asteroid. I don't know how it's going to work, but that does sound like it's going to take a lot of teamwork.
You fly a mission, and you get paid, quote unquote, based on the success and how much damage you do to the vehicle. It's really, really cool. And that's something we kind of heard too about Hondo Onaka being the one who's leading this smuggling mission you're supposed to be going through, and that people in the park will come up to you and say, "Oh, we heard that Hondo's not happy about the shape you left the Falcon." And so that's really cool. And the fact that someone online is already saying, you get paid, and so it's basically confirming that, like, no, you actually. This is a tangible thing that happens when you play. When you do the Falcon ride, you actually get paid, and you're able to talk to people about that. So that's cool.
I wonder what, quote, getting paid means. Like, you can use the credits at the bar.
Oh, I didn't. They give you $5,000 cash if you don't hit anything.
If you don't hit a damn thing. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Right. That would be, like, if they added some sort of monetary.
It's like the lottery.
Sure. Yeah.
No one has hit people have been hitting stuff left and right for the last 3 weeks, so it's up to like $80,000.
I'm trying to think, like, they'd probably just be happy that if people just don't destroy the ride. Like, we'll give you money at the end of the ride if you just behave yourself, for Pete's sakes. That's really what they're saying.
And of course for Pete.
And for
Pete,
come
on.
Yeah, I mean, we're all looking out for Pete, right? God bless.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next.
We miss you, Pete. Did you want to talk about the lightsabers and droids?
Yeah, that's what I'm moving on to.
Yeah.
So some videos were posted by visitors who that have shown off their custom droids and their custom lightsabers.
I heard about one where this person drove the droid into a wall.
Oh, no way. Oh, my God.
And it was just alphabet soup was inside of it. It's weird.
Alphabet group?
Yeah, alphabet group.
Anyway, so we don't have access to show you guys the videos themselves because they were private. But from what we're seeing...
Let's all just imagine.
The droids are about 12 to 18 inches tall, depending on which one you get. You can see which ones are available for sale online. They're like little R2 units and little BB units. And then there's another one that looks kind of like Bucket
from Rebels.
From Rebels, yeah. Mm-hmm. So the lightsaber hilts are slightly larger than your typical saber forge or ultra saber, which are pretty sleek. Yours is over there if you want to grab it.
Yeah, it's okay.
But those are almost they were barely a centimeter or barely a few millimeters wider than the blade. But these ones are slightly larger. They're actually kind of feel and look like a lightsaber that would be used on a set because they're metal.
Yeah.
They're slightly bigger. Anyway, they have a bunch of different kyber crystals: green, blue, white. Didn't know that. Yellow, purple, red, of course. Yeah. And I think that's all of them. They look pretty good. You know, all of it looks really awesome. And
they have a black one too, and you just put it in and it doesn't turn on. It's crazy.
It's coal. That you put coal in yours. Why did you do that? You broke
Santa comes.
Santa's? Yeah.
But no, like something they put out back in the day was a plastic version of the lightsaber, and it was kind of standard where it wouldn't go all the way in to the hilt. It was the lightsaber and then the handle, this big, and it came with a bunch of accessories, and you were able to build them.
That's cool.
And kind of have it like this, but that was something you were able to do at the park. And at downtown Disney and wherever else, you were able to buy those lightsabers.
Wow.
Where you were able to, they had like the Lego store, but the lightsaber parts, and you put it all together. You could even make it curved, and now you could even make it have a cross guard and all this stuff. So you were able to do that at at Disney already, but now this is and something that Saberforge has already done, where you can build your own lightsaber by picking pieces and parts.
Wow.
But now it's, I honestly think Lucasfilm may have seen that and went, that's a great idea.
Right.
And these are more like tangible, authentic.
They're
I guess
more
you would say.
movie accurate.
Right.
Because they can be.
And they look a little more worn. They look more like what a lightsaber would be.
Yeah.
I do appreciate when you buy a Saberforge, it doesn't come all beat up and everything.
Yeah.
But these look more like props as opposed to, as we talk to people who battle with these things, they actually use them and they have to be great. But these are more so like props. And you get a little sheath too.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you get this little lightsaber sheath that's almost like a what would that be called? Like a quill? A quiver.
Yeah. Oh, so it goes on your back.
Yeah, it goes on your back. And they're big too. They're like
they have to be. The blades are pretty long.
Exactly, but they're not. You're not going to buy them, and they're just little things. But I feel like I should have seen this before. Are you able to get the saber for just the handle? Or do you have to have the whole thing?
That's a great question. I didn't see that.
Okay.
But I would imagine the blade is removable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know. But the prices on the droids and the lightsabers are as follows. The droids are $99 plus tax, and then the sabers will be $199 plus tax.
Which isn't too bad.
No, it's not too bad because I saw this thing assembled and they tested the sound effects and stuff.
Yeah.
And when you tapped it, it would flash like it came in contact, and it made the noise. I think that's the main reason why the hilts are going to be so large, because they have to house this pretty high quality sound that was coming out of the base.
Right.
It was a pretty good speaker, to be honest.
So for the visual watchers of this,
visual watchers,
for those visual watchers out there, I was going to say the visual listeners, and that was even worse.
The visual listeners and the viewers.
I have my Saberforge right here. I think this is called the Acolyte. If you see as well in the back, that's where the speaker would be for this. But this is just the hilt with a saber. I guess saber itself. This was like $100 and something.
Wow.
Just alone. And like I said before, it's a little thinner. It's less beat up and worn like it might be at Galaxy's Edge. But like Calhoun was saying, that saber reacts. And that actually does stuff and has the noises. That's pretty expensive to get that from Saberforge or Ultra Saber in order to get those ones.
The other thing I didn't see, because the videos were split up by color, but I presume this is the case. You put the kyber crystal in the saber, and it changes.
Yeah.
So yours was blue, correct?
It's green.
Green.
Yeah.
I don't know how it came to be green, but certainly what it doesn't have is the ability to put in a purple one and it's suddenly purple, which is very unique.
It's just green. a green light, you're able to get ones that can turn any color.
Sure.
And there's even ones where you can put in kyber crystals. There was a lightsaber too. It might have been the one I was referencing earlier as well, but that you would be able to put into the crystals, put them into like the thing, but there was only a specific slot for them. So like purple would be a specific shape, and you would put it into, and then that way the thing would know to turn purple.
Wow.
But I really just think the Galaxy's Edge thing is just all of those ideas, but turned up to 11.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the main reason why I can't wait to go there and get one for myself.
Vanity Fair.
Huge story all over the internet.
I missed all of this.
You
I
did?
didn't see any of it.
There's no way.
I was lucky enough
like a
to
panic.
to had posted a lot of this stuff and
Yeah.
find it and share it around. And we were lucky enough to be able to talk with people about these pictures. I'm going to discuss what people thought about them once we go through these a little bit. But man, they're beautiful, they're crazy, and we got a lot of details. So let's try and blaze through these because once again, we do have those visual listeners. The listeners out there that won't be able to, see any of these, and I'm sure everybody has looked at them extensively.
We've also got two quotes one from JJ, one from Kathleen Kennedy that we want to read, but we're going to go over these photos first. But just to go over it with you if you haven't heard of it, which is kind of impossible. But they published a cover story. Or Vanity Fair has published cover stories for every Star Wars actually since 1999, and they've all been stunning. I don't know if you guys have seen them before, but you can find them online. They're all available there, in the pictures too, of course. And Annie Leibovitz has been taking those pictures. She took pictures not of the prequels, but she had taken pictures of The Force Awakens, and that's why JJ asked her, or I presume it was his recommendation for her to come back. But anyway, last week's cover story was special because it featured the writing of Lev Grossman, who is the author of the Magicians anthology of books. Personally, I have not read them, but it's kind of cool getting a fantasy author to write some epic, sweeping, what's next in Star Wars article. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we won't be able to describe these photos and do them justice, so please look them up. But we're going to talk about the captions and what they're showing because it's stuff that we haven't seen before.
And before that, here's some of the quotes that we were discussing. Here's Kathleen Kennedy on the 3 trilogies. She says, there's a loss of innocence, a sense of innocence that existed in the 70s that I don't think to any extent exists today. There we go. Kennedy says, I think that has to permeate the storytelling and the reaction to the stories and how they're set up. It has to feel differently because we're different, which is pretty true. I know I should have read that differently, but it is true because A New Hope was very straightforward, and now they can't just do a straightforward story. It has to be something bigger and more in depth, and I'm guessing that's a huge struggle on their end.
Sure, I mean it's just a bunch of responsibility and weight, and and linking that into what JJ has to say is actually very accurate. Here's what he has to say. Star Wars doesn't have to stay frozen in time. If anything, it's the opposite. If it doesn't change, it'll die. It'll turn into Flash Gordon. For Abrams, that means he can't go through this process, so haunted by the ghost of George Lucas, who is, of course, still alive, but you get what I'm saying. This is Lev Grossman's fun writing. And he winds up doing a cinematic Lucas impression. At some point, Abrams has to let Abrams be Abrams. The Rise of Skywalker might be that point. Here's what JJ actually says, and quote, working on 9, I found myself approaching it slightly differently, which is to say that on 7, I felt beholden to Star Wars in a way that was interesting. I was doing what, to the best of my ability, I felt Star Wars should be. And then end quote. But this time, something had changed. Abrams found himself making different choices for different camera angles, lighting, and the story. Quote, he says, it felt slightly more renegade. It felt slightly more like, it. I'm going to do the thing that makes me feel right because it does, and not because it adheres to something.
Yeah. JJ,
he said something else about taking notes from Rian Johnson's approach to The Last Jedi, and I think that resonates with what he just said here.
And you could kind of see just his approach when he was at Celebration talking about this movie, that it was a little bit more different because it seemed like he felt more in control.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like he was saying with 7. This time around, it seemed like he was the guy. He's the man when it comes to this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's interesting and that's cool to hear, and I can't wait to see. But the little glimpses that we were able to see, let's talk about them. The first one we have here is Zori Bliss, who's Carrie Russell. And that was confirmed finally. The one who kind of looks like Zam Wessel and the Rocketeer got into a fist fight and somehow had the same. They turned into the same person, basically.
It's kind of funny that it was confirmed in this. Like to us, we just kind of knew that because we're deep in the leaks and the new information that comes out, not officially from Star Wars. So seeing this being confirmed was nice.
What they say about her is that, she has this mask. It helps her disguise her identity and motives.
Is that what a mask does?
It also helps her blend into the shade at a shady cantina or the thieves' quarter of Kijimi?
Probably. Well, it's 3 eyes, so it's probably Kijimi.
Yeah. So that's another place that we'll be able to see in the movie, and it looks really cool. I mean, it looks almost snowy, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I don't know if that's exactly what they're talking. Like this snowy brick road is the Kijimi in question, but maybe it is. It must
because
be.
I think that's what they might be referencing. That door is the cantina. And
sure, maybe.
But here's another one that they expressed who is who when we get to see Richard E. Grant.
Finally.
As, what is this? Elegant General Pride?
He looks really good.
Yes, he does.
Allegiant. It's Allegiant.
Oh, Allegiant. Okay.
I thought you were just commenting on his attire, which he is. He's very elegant. We should just change his name from Allegiant General to Elegant General.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So, hey, everybody, that's what we're calling them from now on. Much like when now we call Bob Iger Bobiger. But Elegant General Pride.
We see Hux and him in a, I think it's a warship bridge or a meeting room of some sort, but it looks very First Order-y and scary. And what's funny is in a video and in the article, Lev Grossman suggested that Pride could be Hux's father, which is impossible because Hux's father was canonized as Brendel Hux in comics already. So, I mean, that was kind of funny.
But it did kind of feel like him trying to fan cast what he would have wanted him to be.
He might be his dad.
Really, Lev?
But no, he's not. There's already another person who is.
But I think it might be a good idea to make him his dad.
Yeah, but in the Aftermath novels, Brendel Hux was revealed to be Hux's father.
Well, there's a lot of Huxes in the galaxy. Maybe that guy's not his father.
But there was a whole thing about how he was his father and how he was conceived and was birthed.
Okay, I get it. But the article's already written.
Yeah, I read it, and that's why I'm trying to tell you to. Okay,
I'm not going to admit it.
Okay, you sound differently than I think you would. Okay, we got.
Hey, you guys like that exclusive interview we picked up between Tyler and Lev Grossman? Next picture.
Life's crazy, man. I was able to track him down in an Arby's.
What a story, Mark.
Okay, Jesus.
Next one is
Finn and new ally Jana, which we got to see at Celebration. Naomi Aki,
who seems super pumped to be in these movies,
and she's like riding side saddle, about to shoot her bow and arrow on the space horse.
Yeah.
But something I wanted to say, in the absence, we don't have Rose Tico in any of these pictures.
None in these
And now
photos.
we have Finn next to Jana. Dude, Finn,
He gets around the
Make
galaxy.
up your mind, man.
Make up your mind. He's too busy. It's time for war. There's no time for love.
But they're called Orbaks, these big horses, which we saw leaks of a while ago.
Yeah.
Of Oscar Isaac and John Boyega on these horses with the trackers like on their head. And we were like, well, they're going to ride horses.
I mean, Vader did. Why can't they?
Yeah.
And he had a shield.
But these things, I think they look really cool, especially with all the hair and the tusks and everything. It does make them look like different creatures.
Certainly. I mean, there's definitely going to be creatures in the galaxy that have legs like a horse that need to run. So it only makes sense that they would be a similar size, but very hairy with tusks.
They also said they're going up against mechanized forces of the First Order, which is an interesting phrase there, mechanized.
Sure.
Are we going to see like some Legend of Korra, like battle suits that, who knows what it's going to be, but if Rey is a more force-sensitive being, they might need more help than just people in stormtrooper outfits.
I like that when it comes to battlesuit references, your brain went to Legend of Korra.
I just
Is that because you just
the other
started it?
day.
Oh, you finished it?
Yeah, I finished it.
Well,
yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. I
Was
loved
that your
it.
first watch through?
Yes, it was.
Oh, even more special.
My wife and I watched through all of The Last Airbender, and then we started right up with Legend of Korra.
That's a fun way to do it.
Yes, it was really cool, and I cried many times.
I'm not surprised.
Well, there's so many references to like.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Sure.
Anyway, thank you for joining us for our Avatar podcast.
Moving on to the Aki-Aki, which are the inhabitants of planet Pisana, which is the desert planet that we see a lot of the behind-the-scenes photos of. We didn't include them in the description here, but obviously we're just describing them. You can go look at them. But there's lots of JJ, specifically of the Knights of Ren.
Yep.
Many of Rey. But it's all like behind-the-scenes stuff.
And something that they touched on in the article, Adam Driver talked about, calls it a maybe bond between Rey and Kylo. As we see a picture of them on some type of,
metal
ship, something
surface. Possibly, people have speculated that it's the surface of the Death Star.
Oh,
because there's splashing water around. That maybe that's a possibility. This looks more like rain, but I don't know.
No, to me, this looks more like ocean, honestly.
So it looks like they're on the surface of something.
Water's kind of coming this way, and then water's kind of coming. I'm not sure.
Over.
But yeah, they're battling, or they're both just swinging their lightsabers around really close to each other.
Yeah, there's no contact being made in the picture.
When you have a maybe bond with somebody, that's just what you do. You just go swing them all around.
I am glad that they interviewed Driver about this, and he said something about this bond, this maybe bond. It makes it a little bit more mysterious. What?
Is that James's brother? Bond, maybe Bond. That's what you just said. Jeez. Okay. John Williams.
James's brother. Wait, John Williams. That resuscitated me.
I'm Bond. Maybe Bond. John Williams. We see him, doing his orchestral thing. But we also see Leia in the background, which is on that forest planet that we kind of speculated. Maybe Yavin, maybe Endor. Who knows?
We don't know yet.
But people were able to zoom in on that picture and then kind of put two pictures together of what they kind of pulled from The Force Awakens in order to make this shot.
Interesting.
And it's the shot we're looking at is the shot of her looking at Rey as she's boarding the Falcon to leave.
Wow.
And that's like when she says, "May the Force be with you." I have a feeling she might just say, "May the Force be with you."
In the whole movie?
Who knows? I mean, that's what we see here.
Oh, man.
That's the only glimpse we got. And then this picture of Luke with...
Oh, this looks intense.
With fire and, of course, R2-D2. So, guys, confirmed Luke is alive. No, but...
He looks very alive. He doesn't look anything like a Force ghost in this, which leads people to believe that it's not real, that it's not going to appear in the movie, that it's just for this photo set.
Yeah.
Because in 1999, when they did a Phantom Menace photo shoot, they had Obi-Wan and Ray Park as Maul swinging their sabers at each other in the desert, like reminiscent of the scene where Qui-Gon and Maul fight. So that never happened at all, but it was a promo photo and it looked really rad. So people are thinking, Luke standing next to R2, he looks like he's wearing his Octu robes, but he's in a fiery forest area.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's our profile picture now on Facebook.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And it's an amazing shot. And, this whole thing, what they put down here as the title of this picture was From the Ashes. Mark Hamill as Luke with R2-D2. Speculation is rampant about who will rise as the Skywalker of the movie title and how that choice will reflect the way the world has changed since Star Wars debuted in 1977. The interesting thing with the fire and how it says From the Ashes, a lot of people might know, especially Harry Potter fans, what rises from ashes. It's a phoenix. So this idea of something rising from the ashes of what might be burning down, and it being a picture of Mark Hamill. I'm calling it he's going to be a big fiery bird.
Oh, okay. So like Ho-Oh, big fiery bird?
No,
Is he going to fly to the top of a tower? And
Moltres, more so.
Moltres.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He's not going to be gold more so than just on fire.
On fire at all times.
Exactly.
I mean, well, he's nearly on fire in this picture.
He should move.
He should move forward and get less flammable robes. Look, it may as well be made of hay. Look at this stuff. It looks terrible.
Oh man, do you see this coming through?
I'm getting a report. I'm getting a noise in my ear that's telling me to put on my jacket.
I need to put on a blazer.
I gotta put on this blazer.
Oh my gosh.
To prepare for this next story.
It seems like we have some breaking news from the UnNews network coming our way. It seems that there's a report coming through that Laida Kalogridis is writing the first installment in a new Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic movie trilogy.
Wow.
Yeah.
It says here, mere weeks after Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy confirmed that something was in development, BuzzFeed News reports that Laida Kalogridis, who wrote Alita Battle Angel and an upcoming Avatar sequel, is quote-unquote close to finishing the first script of a potential KOTOR trilogy, according to 3 sources. So, we've reached out to Lucasfilm for comment and we'll update when we hear back.
Sounds pretty interesting, but something else that's interesting
What's
is I hear just this in my ear. Ewan McGregor is set to return for an Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show.
What? That's impossible, even for a computer.
An industry insider recently revealed to We Got This Covered that Disney is not only planning to bring Obi-Wan to their streaming service in a brand new series, but it'll also see the return of Ewan McGregor to the franchise.
I'm glad that they didn't cast Ian McGregor in that he is an inferior actor.
That would have been a big mix-up. Oh, what? We have another one coming through. What is this one?
I see it as Samuel L. Jackson is confirmed to star in a Marvel Star Wars crossover buddy cop comedy called Windu and Fury, coming soon.
Yes, Samuel L. Jackson recently said this: I can't wait to finally bridge these 2 universes. Such an exciting concept. We have yet to hear any comments from his co-star, Samuel L. Jackson, about this project.
That sounds a little scary. It sounds like half of the team just isn't as enthused.
It seems like maybe half of the team disappeared at some point. Who knows what happened? Oh, here's another story I have. Disney to open another new Star Wars theme park called Galaxy Center, which will just be a big, spinning, giant hole filled with fire.
Scott Trowbridge, head and Imagineer at Disney, says, "We can't wait for this new expansion to open. It is the biggest, hottest, fastest spinning park to date. We will update you on more details to come when they come in." Scott sources the inspiration as the Kessel Run from Solo.
Very, very interesting.
And sounds very hot.
I really would have loved to be that squid that gets sucked into that hole.
I always wanted to have a weight loss program where you just rip the skin from my bones.
Well, thank you. And this report was from the UnNews network.
Oh. Ooh.
That was interesting.
Ooh, it's hot. I feel so hot. I'm gonna take this off.
Something like came over me, and I just started talking.
Yeah,
it may be because they started feeding words into my headphones here.
Yeah, whenever they just feed things into this earpiece I keep in my ear at all times,
yeah.
I have to say it.
Well, of course,
it's
we
part
have
of my
to say
contract that you made me sign.
Looking at these transcripts, though, I don't know about those last two. Park and Samuel L. Jackson.
Those last two seem a little silly, but those first two.
Oh, yeah, that seems kind of interesting.
Maybe we should go back and talk about those. So how about this report of a KOTOR trilogy?
Well, yeah, that was something that came through about from BuzzFeed News. Of course, BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed
Look,
isn't...
we got a fee for your buds.
BuzzFeed isn't like the best source for confirmed
You don't
news.
say.
I mean, yeah, I do say, once again. But, this is just another one of these things that's kind of coming through with a close to finishing a script, according to 3 sources. I'm not too big on when articles say a source told us, because they're not citing the sources. They're not.
And for something as innocuous as a Star Wars scoop, wouldn't you want? Like, come on. Unless they're hoping that person doesn't get into some sort of trouble, but we don't live in mafia country. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the mouse is going around whacking knees. I have no idea.
And then Ewan McGregor maybe for a Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show. Once again, we've kind of talked about this.
Bob Iger did tease a new show,
but that's true. That's true. But I feel like, if anything, they want to be moving forward with the stories that they're trying to tell, as opposed to going back. And it's going to be kind of hard if it's only like this is a 1-season 10-part story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just this is another series we're doing. And yeah, just Ewan McGregor.
A mini-series could be big, and we have discussed that before.
Yeah.
There are some people that would prefer a live-action, a full feature film. Mm-hmm. And then some other people have equated this rumor to the possibility of a Solo 2, which was gaining some traction on Twitter last week. Thanks for everyone for celebrating with us.
Make Solo 2 happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I was happy to see the Kasdans and some other people. Eunice Suotamo, he latched onto that movement, so that was good. So make Solo 2 happen, make Kenobi show happen, make it all happen.
Just make it, because that's the thing that we've said a lot. A big thing that goes on online, unfortunately, is the whole "you're not a fan if you don't like this," or "you do like this," and that type of thing. Our kind of thought is, let's just put out as much Star Wars content as possible, and that way we can pick and choose what we like and what we don't like. Resistance is a show that's come out. I think we've watched most of the first season. It just doesn't really work for us. But once again,
it doesn't resonate.
It's not really made for us. It's made for the younger generation. But that's the thing. And some books, Thrawn Alliances, we read, didn't really work for us. But that doesn't mean all of these other books that we listened to worked for us or didn't. I mean, so if they put this stuff out, I won't be upset. And of course, it just gives us more to cover.
More to look forward to.
Samuel L. Jackson, I don't know if he would want to go into like the acting off of himself thing.
There is a Shaft movie coming out where they have the 3 generations of Shaft, but luckily that only has, or maybe unluckily, it only has one Samuel L. Jackson.
And then Galaxy's Center. I feel like they have too much on their plate to go through with that.
Yeah. I mean, you could just burn another portion of the Disney park, and that would kind of be the same thing as a giant pit of fire.
That might just happen if there's another weird power outage from a storm.
Or if they need to hide gators that have been eating infants. All right, cool. Let's go to This Week in Star Wars History. Brought to you by the
Battlefront.
I made you say front by yourself.
Watch
anyway,
out for them gators, guys.
May 21st, 1980. A big deal because The Empire Strikes Back begins its 70mm release in 127 U.S. theaters and breaks 125 house records, grossing $209 million in the U.S. Its total domestic gross would go on to ultimately be $290 million.
May 22nd, 2014, Gareth Edwards and Gary Whitta are announced as director and screenwriter, respectively, for a Star Wars standalone film set to be released December 16th, 2016. I don't know what that movie was.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Yeah, that was a Rogue One, that movie. We never were able to figure it out.
Next one is May 23rd, 1987. The first Lucasfilm-sanctioned Star Wars convention launches, a 3-day event celebrating Star Wars' 10th anniversary.
Celebrating Star Wars, you say?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
They were ahead of their time.
May 25th, 1977, a little movie named Star Wars is released in North America in just 32 cinemas. It grossed $307 million during its first run for a total domestic gross of $460 million. If I remember, the movie had a budget of $11 million. If I remember that correctly.
That's almost as much as the budget of The Room. I'm joking. That was about $6 million, which is $6 million too much.
And, some might say one is better than the other.
Some might.
There's a good argument to be had.
Sure. I think Mark could definitely get some tips from Mark.
And would you like to say the last one while I look up how much the...
Absolutely. May 26th, 1913. Actor Peter Cushing, God rest his soul, Grand Moff Tarkin, is born. The longtime friend of Chris... Chris... Why can't I think of his last name? How horrible.
Why can't I think of it either?
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee.
Chris Lee. Longtime friends. And actually, there's some really fun interviews of each of them that you can find online where they mention each other. So check those out. And check out our Dooku episode.
Yes. And it was $11 million that A New Hope was made off of.
Incredible. $11 million and the talent of many, many extremely talented, best of their class people.
Yeah, we've talked about in almost to an exhausting extent of how lucky George got to just so happen to have the best people for the job.
Mm-hmm. In every facet, every department everyone had the best intentions for his movie, really.
Yeah, I mean, and they didn't really lead each other too much astray.
No,
I mean, because we can talk about A New Hope and how it was saved in the edit and how a lot of other people being a part of the project really helped it. But at the end of the day, George did come up with most of it.
Oh yeah,
and
it was new and completely original.
And for everybody to be so passionate and on board to help him just shines through, and it still does all these years later. Just quickly, I wanted to talk about what some of the listeners said about the promo pictures. I asked the question, did the new promo pictures make you excited for episode 9? So I'll go through a couple of ones. Tommy Poig says, yes, sir. David Gramillion says, nope. And once again, talking about Rogue One.
Love that.
Someone I had a debate with at Celebration, is Rogue One a good movie?
They did not make David excited. Hey, Dave, I do appreciate that you're a DC Comics fan.
That's actually DG for David Gramillion.
Well, you know what? It's still a good design.
Devin, I always do that. Devin
Vinash.
I am so sorry, Devin. He said, need a new trailer, which honestly, that trailer thing that they put out,
the teaser, the behind the scenes,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That filled some voids for me.
I agree.
Of being able to see more of the set, more of the story, and then the actors just doing their thing.
It also gave the opportunity for people to memeify John Boyega on a horse, and they put the Old Town Road behind it. It was really funny.
Wait, they did that?
Well, somebody did, and then he tweeted it because it was hilarious.
Damian Johnson on Star Wars News said, I've been excited since episode 8. We're there with you.
Fair point.
Let's see.
I mean, really, the moment that The Last Jedi ended, it was just like, oh, how are they going to... Oh, my God!
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Glen Q. Rhodes says...
Glenn? G-Len? Yeah, you're right.
It's two capitalized letters.
Capitalized letters.
He said, would like to have seen stormtroopers. We are the bad guys after our all.
Oh, he's dressed up as a stormtrooper.
But that is true. We mostly saw the heroes during this. Did we see...
In the photo shoots? No.
In the photo shoot,
we saw Hux and we saw General Pride, which we had never seen before.
You mean the elegant General Pride?
Elegant General Pride.
Eric Carl Briggs.
I want to put him in an evening gown now.
Eric Carl Briggs says the Knights of Ren photo was the most exciting. That was for me the most exciting.
Yeah.
Huge.
I mean, just confirmation that it's going to be up close and personal with the Knights of Ren. Give me those Knights of Ren. Here, okay. So Game of Thrones did not fill out some information for me that I wanted, like their silly religions. One of them was the Lord of Light, which clearly had cool magic powers. So something with this trilogy that they must fulfill for me, or I will be irritated, is the Knights of frickin' Ren.
Yeah.
Tell me who they are, tell me where they came from, and then either kill them or make them a super cool villain for the next chapter or something. Because I want more Knights of Ren.
We might get a book.
Ooh, I'm down with that too.
Or a miniseries where the Knights of Ren fight Ewan McGregor. Not even Obi-Wan, just Ewan McGregor.
On an island where he is a clone.
All right, I will end with this one. Christina Helms, and I really love this comment that she said about, did these pictures make you excited? She said, yes, they did, specifically when my children saw them and got excited as well. I think we forget that. At its core, Star Wars is something that inspires their imaginations and sparks that feel of adventure. As adults, we evaluate every aspect of it, like acting or storytelling, but my kids watch it because it's fun, and they finish the movie only to pick up their sabers and toy ships and carry on the adventure after the credits finish rolling. To see their excitement was to recall my own. So yes, I'm very excited. That is such a great comment.
Wow.
I love that, Christina.
Wow, that's exactly what this is all about.
Oh, yes.
That's great.
And hey, let us know what you guys think in terms of when the movie comes out. Anyone else who got excited about these pictures, did that excitement carry over? And do you want to go pick up your ships? Do you want to pick up your solo speeder here and fly it around after the movies come out? Is there anything else we'd like to say?
Nothing besides, may the Force be with you.
Always.
We're doomed.